Who do you see the Cowboys taking? What do you see them doing early in this draft?
Yeah, this is a team that traditionally does not trade up. The last time they did, it was for LSU corner Morris Claiborne. I don't know how that turned out. And so I'm a little bit skeptical, I guess, of Jerry saying, we might trade up. They might. I guess they could. This is a team that traditionally sits, watches the board, drafts the best player available. Last year, it was Micah Parsons. That worked out very, very well for them. So could they trade up? Yes. I will note their top 30 visits, or their 30 visits, we should say, they've had a lot of wide receivers in. They've had a lot of wide receivers in that we believe will be drafted in the first round. So if they are targeting a move up the board, that's the position that makes the most sense, Max. But this is also an offensive line that needs a lot of help right now. So I wouldn't rule out offensive tackle. Where Dallas sits right now in round 1 at 24 overall, though, not a bad spot to kind of sit, watch the chips fall, and then pick the best player on the board.
Louis, Jerry calls you up, says, Lou, what do we do here? What do you tell him?
Look, if there's a difference maker on the board that they feel as though they don't want to sit and wait and see if he will fall, and they think that he plays a premium position that will make a big difference for him, then I tell him to go ahead and make the move. And again, you have to see how it plays out. Look, I think there's no question that Dallas started to make their run when they started to build their football team inside out and build it front to back. That's when everything turned in their favor. So I think the reason why you would move up is because you think one of these offensive linemen, particularly tackle, is somebody who could be a franchise cornerstone for them for the next 2 contracts. Let's just say his next 2 contracts at the very least. Or there's an edge rusher, which we know that they need also. They need defensive heat. They need a guy to go along with DeMarcus Lawrence because they didn't think they were going to lose Randy Gregory. Is there someone in that group, in a deep draft class of edge rushers, that they feel as though is different and someone that would make them a much different type of football team? And then lastly, look, I agree with Matt in this. Look, I just don't feel as though you can go into the 2022 season with just CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup coming off of injury, and you sign James Washington and feel as though your skill positions have not taken a tremendous hit.
Louis,
we know at the top of the draft there at wide receiver, there's some great players now, but they're not going to be there at 24. There's some difference makers at wide receiver, but they're not going to be there at 24. So maybe he's targeting one of those 2.
So, Louis, I want to squeeze this in quickly. They draft well, the Cowboys, generally, wouldn't you say? Are you optimistic or pessimistic about their chances in the NFC next year?
Oh, I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic because, Will McClay, who basically runs their personnel department down there, has got a good eye and a good feel for team building. He's got a good eye for talent, a good feel for team building, and it seems as though that the chief decision makers down there really value his opinion. Then he will help them put together a football team that I still think will be the class of the NFC East next year.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.